Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Tune Project. Today's video is all about slurs and how to play them on the violin. A slur in music is two or more connected notes, meaning two or more notes that you play on the same bow. And that is usually notated in music with the symbol. A lot of times in fiddle tunes, slurs serve the purpose of adding a little bit more emphasis on a certain rhythm or just giving a little shape to a certain phrase. I'll give you an example of a tune played with slurs first and without slurs second, just so you can hear the difference. And without. Kind of a big difference, right? So with fiddle players and classical violinists alike, a lot of times slurs can also help to save energy when you're playing. If you're doing just all separate bows, that can be very energy expending for your arm, very tiring. A lot of times slurring notes together can really help with that. If you are brand new to the world of slurs, the most important thing to remember to start off with is bow division. For example, if we're playing two quarter notes slurred together, we would want to give each of the quarter notes the same amount of bow, right? So in that case, we would divide the bow exactly in half so that the first quarter note gets exactly half of the bow and the second quarter note gets exactly half of the bow. Both the notes are treated the same. An easy exercise that you can start off with as you're working your way into playing slurs is just starting on the A string, playing an open A to a first finger B, both on a down bow. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to find that midpoint that we talked about earlier where we're dividing the notes, and we're going to stop there. So there's going to be just the slightest separation between the open A and the first finger B. I'll show you what that looks like. Now on the up bow, we're going to go in the opposite direction, keeping our first finger down for that upper half of the bow, and then releasing it to play an open A again in the lower half of the bow. So. Okay, so all together that'll sound like this. Once you've practiced that a few times, you can start to connect the two notes to each other. To move your bow continuously in one motion, and also you'll have to think ahead slightly more than if you were just playing separate bows or stopping in between notes, because you have to think to prepare the next note. You just have to prepare the next note a little bit quicker. Another great way to practice slurs is on scales. So now I'm going to show you an example of practicing slurs on a 1-octave A major scale. Another helpful thing you can do while you're still learning how to slur and divide up the bow is place a piece of tape on the very center of the bow. So find that little line, that invisible line that we were talking about earlier that is in the very center of the bow, and just go ahead and place a piece of tape there. That way you can have an exact point to eyeball whenever you get to the middle of the bow, and you know exactly where to change notes every single time. So we've talked about dividing up the bow to slur 2 notes, but what about 3, 4, or even more than that? The way to determine how much bow you should be using on a particular note in a slur is to take into consideration the note value. So for example, if we have 4 quarter notes, we would divide the bow into quarters. So each quarter note would have the exact equal amount of bow. Now, if we have a half note and 2 quarter notes, well, obviously the half note, since it's worth 2 beats, would get half of the bow, so 2 quarters. 1, 2 for each beat. And each of the quarter notes would get a quarter of the bow. So half note, 2 quarter notes. And this is what that would sound like. Okay, so half note slurred to 2 quarter notes. If you were slurring 3 notes of equal value, you would divide your bow into 3 equal parts, and so on and so forth. Now, I always encourage my students to use a metronome when practicing bow division and slurs. So what I'm gonna do is I now have my metronome set to 60 and I'm in 4/4 time. I'm gonna show you what that sounds and looks like by slurring 2 notes on a down bow and 2 notes on an up bow, and then 4 notes on a down bow and 4 notes on an up bow. 1 note per beat, so we're just working with quarter notes here. You might have already been able to tell this by that example, but the more notes you slur in one bow, the slower your bow speed should be. If you have fewer notes in a bow, however, you want to move your bow a little bit faster, so the bow speed should be increased so that you have enough time to access all parts of the bow while still sticking with that metronomic beat. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. And if you're new, welcome to the Tune Project. We have a lot of fun over here. I post videos just like this one every single Monday and Thursday, so consider hitting that subscribe button. And I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!